On Monday, we lost Bill Walton at the age of 71 to cancer. I want to take a few minutes to talk about Bill's legacy, Bill the man, Bill the player. He was one of a kind. We start with coaches, Jason Kidd. Figured it'd be nice to bring a UCLA guy on here, Reggie Miller, to talk about Bill Walton, who has died at the age of 71. And he's an original, and you could not imitate him.
No, he was different for sure. It's funny because we all played for Power 5 schools, right? And the cool thing about playing at big university is when the alumni come back, right? So right around that time, he was finishing up his career with the Boston Celtics. And that was in the middle of the Lakers versus the Celtics, Larry versus Magic. It was very contentious. So to have Bill Walton come back, my first few steps on the UCLA campus, he's around, he's working out with Surfing Jack Haley, getting him better, Stuart Gray, guys like that. So to have him tutor us, talk to us about life lessons, what those series was all about, and to have the opportunity once Larry Bird became our coach, because then he was around a lot because they were teammates, him and Rick Carlisle, as we just mentioned. You see a lot of those shots. A lot of those shots when he's signing autographs is at Gainbridge because he was there so much around Larry and around us just to give those life lessons. And he and I, what's interesting, we could talk about X's and O's, all that, but post-career, our relationship really bonded and went further because of our love of two wheels, of cycling. He was a huge cyclist, a lot of races together. We used to talk about equipment. So, yes, it's a loss. But for Bruin Nation, he was so colorful. There were so many layers to him, which a lot of people didn't understand. So many different layers, which was very unique.
Hall of Famer, two-time NBA champion, obviously legendary career at UCLA for Big Red.
Yeah, man, it was, when I got that news yesterday, it hurt because you talk about great at basketball, great in life, great as a broadcaster, but just a good person. I'd never seen a person who was more joyful to be around, who was always in a good mood. I explain it like this, Ernie. The world is not as good a place it was yesterday. The world was better for having Bill Walton in it, and it's not as good a place as it was. Man, we lost. I mean, obviously our basketball hearts are heavy, but the world is not as good a place as it was yesterday because we lost Bill Walton.
I feel so fortunate to have known both Bill Walton and John Wooden.
Yeah.
And you know how much respect Bill had for Coach Wooden, and in his later years was a constant companion of his and stopping by to see him. But to hear each of them tell me that story about Bill refusing to shave his beard and get his hair cut before the season started, and a haircut so that he'd be able to practice that day.
Bill, he was incredible, and I got the opportunity to know him with Luke Walton being our coach. Luke was one of the most incredible people I've ever been around. Luke was our coach the first season I became an All-Star. He was our coach the first 50 games of that year. And Bill would be around all the time, and just so much color and joy that he bring to our arena each and every time. We're going to miss him, true legend. He's been great to all of us, and I just want to send my love to Luke and the family.
Throw it down, big man. Big man.
Yes, we definitely lost one of the forefathers of the Big Man Alliance. Kareem, Wilt, great Bill Walton, great Bill Russell. Bill and I had an up and down relationship. Not gonna lie, I talked to Luke yesterday, I gave him my condolences. Like, even though me and your father had an up and down relationship, I want to send you my condolences. It was up and down because I was sensitive. What I call, the things I'm doing to all the big men now, Bill, all those guys, Kareem, they were doing it to me. It's called the big man rites of passage. So a lot of times you would criticize me, and I was so mad one time I wanted to put hands on him. But the beautiful Dr. Lucille said, son, when people criticize, see if there's some truth inside that criticism. So all the things I was doing, not really focusing on basketball, I had to learn how to listen to what these legends say, because if you want to become a legend, shouldn't you listen to a legend before you? So once I started listening to what Kareem said, oh yeah, Shaq that good. Shaq's not that good. They're getting swept. They got to start winning championships. When I started listening to Bill Walton, Bill Russell, Chamberlain, those guys, then I became a better player and a better person. I saw Bill last year at the Final Four. We hugged. He told me he just wanted to make me better. And that's my message to all these kids that we criticize. We're not making fun of you and playing with you. We're just telling you to make you better, because all of us up here, including the great Bill Walton, we have that G14 classification. So, Luke, rest of your family, my condolences go out. I'm definitely going to miss him. He was hard on me, and I'm glad he was hard on me, because, me growing up the way I was raised, I'm not soft. It just made me who I am today. So thank you for help forming the Big Man Alliance, and we're going to miss you, big man.
One of my prized possessions is at the Final Four one year. I says, man, I'm standing by Kareem and Bill Walton. And I said, somebody got to get me this picture. And I sent it to Kareem. I sent it to Bill. It's one of my most prized possessions. They both signed it. It's huge, and it's one of my most prized possessions to get the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the great Bill Walton and me just standing between them at the Final Four. I think the picture is probably 12 years old, but it's one of my most prized possessions.
Yeah, for me, I was fortunate enough after in the NBA to go on probably 10 to 15 NBA trips with Bill Walton and his wife. So
Lori,
and we sit at the back of the bus, and you just hear all of the millions of stories. But one of my nephews today were like, how good was Bill Walton? I said, well, for young people, he would be today's Jokic. His ability to pass the basketball, to create, to do things off the bench, he would be the same person. And, later on after the injuries, he became more of a role player, but he was a dominant player, obviously winning in college 3 times, twice in college, 3-time All-American, and so on and so forth. But his ability when he first got into the NBA before his injuries, he was Jokic. So, that's what we missed from our era. We're missing Jokic. And we admired him, we understood him, and we also understood the color that he had in the game when he analyzed. Because he wasn't really talking to the fan. He was talking to us.
Yes.
That only we could understand, Reggie.
Yeah.
So he's really talking to us when he used to do color.
And to know him, to understand his quirks and his personality, because he could break down X's and O's. He did them in a very unique way, but only ballers really kind of knew the inside language he was talking about.
And Ernie, I got to give a shout out to Coach Del Brown. When I was 17, 18 years old, and they saying Shaq was going to be a great player, Bill Walton came down and worked out with me for a week. So I got to talk to Bill, I got to talk to Kareem, and they told me a lot of stories, just like Kenny alluded to. So shout out to Coach Brown for introducing me to the great Bill Walton.
And I'll say this too, he was a source of joy. You couldn't help when you were around Bill Walton. Yes. It was going to be a good time, and everything brought joy to him. He was also a great source of encouragement. And I'll get personal with this, because a couple years ago when I lost my mom, I got an email from Bill Walton. It said, "Be glad for what you had for so long. Live your life in tribute and honor to and for that magnificent angel. We love you. We thank you. Heal on, shine on. BW." I think that same thing could be said right back to Bill Walton's family tonight. And so to Lori and Luke and Adam and Chris and Nate, heal on, shine on.
That's a mic drop, Ernie.